And I'll be answering questions. If you have questions, you could type them in to the chat box, and I'll be answering questions along the way. All right, I'm gonna get started. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Bob Lovinger, President, CEO of FlexBuy and Coach Financing. And today I'm going to go over the Byzly platform. Let's see. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the Byzly platform, Byzly was designed to be an all-in-one transaction hub for high ticket transactions, high ticket sales. So, there's a lot of platforms out there. I mean, I'm not going to say we're Stripe, but it does most of the same functionality as Stripe or, uh, um, ba- um, some of the others that are out there. But this really focuses on high ticket, and while a Stripe and these other platforms will have financing options such as Affirm and Klarna and a couple of the other buy now pay later, Bizly has those, plus it has all the customer financing options that FlexBuy has accumulated for the last 11 years. So, we're happy about this platform, but I'm going to point something out as we start. And this says beta version, right? What does beta version mean? Beta version means there's going to be bugs. We're doing the best we can, and we're allowing you to use it, and with the understanding that this thing is still a work in progress. I'm just going to turn off my video because it's distracting me. So, it's still a work in progress. So, but we're going to continue improving it and making it better. And in the meantime, I think it's a very good option, right now. So when you sign up with FlexBuy now or with Coach Financing, you're getting Bizly. And what Bizly has the payment hub and has the financing hub. But when you first get set up in Byzly, I'm just going to show you some of the basic stuff. So anyway, this is the dashboard. Dashboard is your place where, every, your data is at your fingertips. You can go to setup, and this is actually a working platform. So this is a coach financing platform. You could set up your business. You can add your logo. So this is totally customizable. We're going to be adding more white label features as we go. You can turn off or turn on your financing or payment hub if you wish, and you know if you don't want to use one or the other, you can turn it off. Um, we have to activate it for you to make this available to you. You add your information here. And if you're a master merchant, so every merchant has the ability to have merchants under them. So, let's say you're in the credit card processing business, and you're going to have merchants that you want to bring into FlexBuy slash Coach Financing. You could set it up where you're the master, and then there's sub merchants under you, and any merchant can do this. So also, as a master, if you're a master merchant, you could set it up where your brand is going to show up on all the merchants you bring in on their checkout pages, on their pages. The default is that only the merchant's branding is there, but you could set it up if you're a master merchant to have your branding show up there as well. So this is the setup page. The next thing you'd want to do is set up your users. So when we first set you up, we're going to set you up with whoever signed up for the account. But you have the ability of adding users with a lot of different permissions. So you can set up your users. You set up the names, email address, passwords, and if you're the admin, you can set up the different abilities that the users have. So, can they control connections? Can they just view the connections? You want them to see any of this? You want them to see the products, be able to view the products, add a product, um, all the way down the line. Every feature just about that's in this platform, you have the ability to turn on or turn off for the users within your organization. So it's got really a lot of capability. So going to I'm going to first look at the payment hub. Okay, so what is the payment hub? The payment hub is the connections that you would make in a normal sales transaction. So it could be anything from Apple Pay to Google Pay, credit card processing, Venmo, PayPal, ACHing. the buy now, pay laters. We have the basic buy now, pay laters. And we also have others. We have crypto. There's a few other things that are not in this sample, in this working platform. We also can operate in other countries too. So this is in US. So if you're a merchant that operates in more than one country, we could set up payment providers for you that operate in those countries. And even some of these providers operate in multiple countries. So if you're in the high ticket space, the focus on payments are probably going to be credit cards. Um, you may want to do PayPal and Venmo. That's an option. You probably want to do ACH. You may want to set up with one of the buy now or a few of the buy now, pay later options. And so this would give you a full platform of payments. And in the payment hub, any payment that you set up in here works in your transactions. So let me show you. Well, first let me show you what happens. How to set somebody up. So the way this is, designed, it's basically designed on the payment side for it to be self-service. You have to basically apply to these providers, get approved, and get the credentials in here. So it's fairly simple. So let's say you get credit card processing and you get it through us, through one of our providers. And you don't have to. And by the way, this is set up in a way where we're totally agnostic. If you have your own credit card providers that you want to set up in here, you can set them up. And just about every providers can be set up. Even if it's not listed here, most of the credit card providers can use either NMI or authorized.net as the gateway. So if you want to have the convenience of having all your transactions at your fingertips in one platform, you could move the stuff that you're already working with. You don't have to take on all new providers. And that goes with anything. So if you have an Apple Pay, a Google Pay account, if you have the buy now, pay laters, all you got to do is get the credentials. And let me just show you what the credentials look like. So with NMI, it's very, very simple. You just need to get an API key. So if you already have a provider, you just have to ask them, do they work with NMI? And if so, you have to get an NMI account. And there's a quick start guide for every one of these providers that shows you how to apply for the provider and to get the credentials. And, obviously providers can approve or disapprove you. That's up to them. But once they do, the provider will issue in this case, the API key. You enter in the API key, you add the country, you add the currency, you click active, and you add the connection, and then you're good to go. So you'd be set up to do transactions through NMI credit card processing. And that's true with any of these providers. So if you're already working, let's say let's say you have a firm through Stripe, we have that connection here. So, you can go here to a firm. Well, one of these is through Stripe. Yeah, this one is through Stripe. So this is a firm through Stripe. So all you'd have to do is go to Stripe and get the credentials for your firm account. There's a secret key, and basically put in the country and the currency, click active and add connection, and you're good to go. So, this is set up to be very, very user friendly. We can also help you along this process. So if you run into a technical issue, we can certainly help you. If it's an issue between you and the provider, you may have to contact them. Think of Byzly in terms of, this is Roku or a Prime Fire Stick, where we're the connection to all the providers, right? So the same way Roku will connect you to streaming services, Byzly will connect you to payment providers. So we can only do so much. A lot has to be, you have to apply and get approved, and connect the providers that you want to use. So like I said, we can help you with credit card processing. We don't force it on you. We have a few different options for you. We're totally agnostic. It's up to you as to whether you want to use one of our providers or not, or you can use your own. You could apply for your own, whatever you want to do. Same is true with any of these. We have a relationship with PayPal. We can help you with that. With PayPal, when you're approved with PayPal, you're also approved with the pay later, buy now, pay later account as well. So we could help you with a lot of these, and but most of it's going to be you applying and getting approved. And once that's the case, it's pretty easy to get this connected. Now, because it's in beta, It's possible that when you get the connection, you may do it right, and then you go to test it and it's not going to work. It's possible. If that's the case, let us know so we can help you and maybe work out the technical issue. Maybe that's on our side. Sometimes maybe something changed in the API and the API is no longer working. And that we have so many connectors. We have dozens and dozens of payment connections here. It's really hard for us to test every single one all the time. So sometimes things change and connections stop working. So that's important for you to use it and to let us know and help us out in that way as well. So I'm going to walk you through on the payment hub side um, how useful this is. Okay, so there's a few different ways for you to do payments on the payment hub side. One is a product. So we use a product. I'm going to give you an example. A product is something that you charge often. Like it could be an item that you're selling. It could be some kind of product that you're selling, and the price is always $1,995. You want to set that up as a product so you don't have to recreate it each time. So setting up a product is very, very easy. If you want, you can put a picture of it here or something that represents that product. You set the product name, the price, the description. You select what payment options you want to offer for your customers. So if it's just credit card, if you have a buy now, pay later, you can add that in here. If you have anything else, you can add that in here as well. You you always want to take the name, email address, and the physical address because the all credit card processors are different. So some of them will need it, some of them won't. But we give you that option. If you know that you don't need that and you want to make it a quick checkout, you don't have to ask for all that information. You have after they make a payment, you have the option of just showing them text, thank you for your purchase, or you could send them to a redirect page. So, let's say this is part of a funnel and you want to do an after sale, you can put in a URL here and that will take them to a page once this is done. This is HTML, so you can put in anything you want. If you want instructions in this checkout, you can put that in, you can put that here. And I'm going to show you an example of a product that we actually use when we sign you guys up. So on the product side, so we created this product. There's a coach financing special. We charge $3.99, and we give you a few different ways to to post that. First of all, we have a QR code. You could download this QR code and you could put this any place you want. If you want to, you can put it on your website, put it on print, put it on a store. You can do whatever you want with this. You could also copy the URL, and then I'll show you what it looks like. So this is what the checkout looks like. As you can see, it's branded and it gives you the instructions. It gives you whatever payment method is there. This is the HTML that we added to it. So this is the complete checkout. So when your customer completes this checkout form, it's going to go to whatever you sent them to, whether it's text or whether it's another page. It's going to come up that payment was accepted. You're going to be notified that you received the payment. So here's what we do with ours, and just to stick with the coach financing brand, just to give you an example of how we use the product. So when potential clients click on the enroll now, it takes them to this page here. This explains what we're all about. And when you go to enroll now, it takes them to the checkout. So you can basically attach this to anything. You can put it on your website. You could attach it to a button. You could attach it to a link. There's a lot of different use cases. You can actually set up a page with different product prices and and use this accordingly. So products are very, very powerful. You also have quick payments. So quick payments are like products, except that is something that may be irregular that you're doing on the fly. You're speaking to someone or maybe they owe money, and you want to get them a payment link. So it works the same kind of way. It's the same features. You also can send them a URL. But there's one other thing you could do with a quick payment. We have a send box here. So if you put in the name, the email address, the phone number, it's going to send that checkout link to your customer. So while they're on the phone, you may say, all right, hold on, check your inbox. I'm going to send you this link. You send it to them, Bing, and they could click on that link and it'll bring them to that checkout page that you set up here. So, just to show you that it looks the same basically as the product. Uh, See, same format as the product. Um, you got invoices. Invoices are very, very cool. So there's no invoice here, but um, basically you can create an invoice and make it as detailed as you want. On the FlexBuy side, we actually put in contract language in here. So in the description, we could put terms and conditions here. We create, the invoice. We select how the payment, what kind of payment we want to offer upon the invoice. Um, we can actually make the invoice, its own thing, or you can tie it to a product. So, if you want to tie it to a product, you just, select the product that you want, and it will basically, create that product and that invoice. And I'm going to just do one quickly just to show you how easy that is. Is okay, and that should work. So I'm going to save this as a draft so I can just go in and show you what the invoice looks like. You could send this invoice, you can copy it and email it. You could do whatever you want with this. Um, but the invoice will come over like this. At the bottom, there's a payment link. So if you got terms and conditions you want, in here, you can basically say upon, payment, you agree, blah, blah, blah. And then when you click on the link, it takes you to the checkout and then the customer can pay for it. So invoices are very, very useful. You can use it in a lot of different ways. Um, we have the virtual terminal. So the virtual terminal is if you work with people over the phone, and you want to collect the payment, you can basically, just take the payment information over the phone. It's only for credit card, and then process the payment right there. And then you can actually also tie it to an invoice. So if there's an invoice already, already made, you can tie that in, and it will, complete as much of the information that it has to save you a little bit of time. So the virtual terminal is very powerful if you operate a call center type of environment. So on the transactions, it gives you up-to-date transactions, tells you you know, what came in, what didn't come in. You can upload these transactions. If you have sub accounts, you can include the sub accounts. You can select your sub accounts. So if you have a lot of sub accounts and you want to see what one of them's doing, you could just, select it. You could export the transactions. You could sort it over any date period that you want and export it. It's very powerful. You can sort the view of the transaction page by declines, by captured, etc. We're eventually going to have automation tied into this. So right now, like I said, this is was launched, about 2 months ago, maybe a little bit longer, but we're going to be adding automation. We already have embedding. So if you have a partner, let's say, and they want to, embed this, you can, or you have another program that you want to embed it to. But we're going to have API docs, and we're going to have eventually we're going to have integrations into things like Zapier, so it will connect with QuickBooks and will connect with other products as well. But we wanted to get this out there, and even though it's a little bit incomplete now, it's going to get better over time. The other thing that's going to be added very, very soon that people are getting very excited about, we've gotten them and we've kind of teased them. I feel bad that we've teased everybody so long. Is we're going to have a loan pre-qualification, and instant access credit card um, platform, and that's going to be very, very powerful for most businesses. So let's say you're a business and you want to collect a sale at the spot. What you can do is you'll be able to pre-qualify that consumer to see if they'll qualify for any of the credit cards offered, and then you'll be able to send them a link and they'll be able to apply for credit cards. And when they're applied for credit cards, they'll be able to do it right there. If they're standing in front of you or sitting with you, you could send it to their phone. They'll be able to do it right there. And when it's approved within a matter of minutes, a virtual card's going to be issued to them, and you'll be able to process that payment. So it's a really easy way to offer a direct to merchant solution for your business that will happen very, very quickly. So the transactions will be safe. It's going to be mostly for prime because most of the credit cards are looking for a 680 plus credit score. The pre-qualification module, the AI, is also going to be tied in over time and very thoroughly with our financing hub as well. So if you're one of the merchants that has multiple lenders, and from us, you may have three or four lenders, three or four platforms or programs, you'll be able to pre-qualify ahead of time to know what direction to go in with that particular consumer. So it's a very, very powerful tool, and the reason it's taking so long is there's a lot of nuance to it, obviously. And then what we found as we were building this, that more people than we thought actually have credit card locks, and it wasn't working with the credit card lock. So we had to figure out a workaround to be able to give you a good understanding of that consumer without pulling that credit. And we actually figured that out. So we'll be able to, even if a consumer has a credit lock on, we'll be able to still come back to you with a pretty decent profile of them, and also letting you know that they have a credit lock. That way they can clear it up, before you do anything, because a credit lock will stop them from getting approved with any financing. Anybody that pulls credit, they'll have to do the soft credit, and if a credit lock is in place, they won't be able to do it. So that's important to know. So this is it on the payment hub side of things. Like I said, I think it's really, really powerful. I think, I love it. I'm going to show you the financing hub. So the financing hub works very, 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 very similar, but it's more of a bespoke experience. So when it comes to the payments, a lot of it is going to be on you because the relationship is between you and your, provider, whether it's the credit card processor, an ACH provider, whether it's Venmo, whatever it is, it's between you and them. We could help you on the technical side, but you have to have the relationship with them. On the financing side, we're going to be neck deep in helping you get set up with financing. So FlexBuy has been around 11 years, and we've accumulated a lot of different financing options. Our core platform, of those of you that have been with us a while, our core platform is our direct-to-consumer Credit Select Plus platform, and that works amazingly well. I mean, we do millions of dollars a month in that. We help businesses collect millions of dollars a month in sales using that platform. But that platform is not the end all for every business. A lot of businesses would like to have, if they qualify for it, a direct to merchant experience. And that's a lender that will, basically fund the bit. Not only, well, there's two aspects that make direct to merchant financing attractive. One is when the approval is issued at the point of sale, it's a firm approval. It's not subject to vetting. It's not subject to tax returns or pay stubs. Those lenders will be able to tell you on the spot whether that consumer is approved, how much they're approved for, and the amount they're approved for, and and all the terms, and you'll be able to complete your sale knowing that money is coming in 2 to 3 days. With direct to consumer, there's a lag because the approvals are pre-qualifications, and the money goes to the consumer. So the consumer's got to take that pre-qual, get vetted, and usually requires a pay stub or some other proof of income, and then they get funded, and then they have to turn the money over to the to you guys. Now, I'm not. This is not a webinar on the direct-to-consumer platform. We have a lot of documentation available on that platform, and I'll do a more detailed webinar on that platform soon. But our ecosystem works amazingly well, and it's better than merchants anticipate it to be, as far as the ease of them getting their payment. And the truth is, direct to merchant lenders, there's also fallout from people that change their mind and all kinds of things. But anyway, most businesses would prefer a lender if all things being equal that fund them and they don't have to worry about it. So we offer a lot of different lenders. We offer dozens of direct to merchant lenders. A lot of them are industry specific. So in other words, it depends on not only your business because they're going to vet your business. Um, they're going to, how long you've been in business. They may pull credit. They may look at your revenue. They may look at the owner. So, these lenders are, do a lot more vetting. Direct to consumer is pretty much open. We can basically take any merchant and put them into direct to consumer. And that was the vision of FlexBuy when I founded it. I said, I wanted to create a customer financing solution that every small business, any business can operate and have the same advantages that the large businesses had because 11 years ago, believe it or not, customer financing wasn't available to everybody. So direct to consumer accomplished that. We offer 30 plus lenders that we can basically offer. If you start a business yesterday, today we can give you, customer financing. But direct to merchant is more intense. And, the reason is that the there's a more of a direct relationship between the success of the loan payment and the success of the business as well as the product or service that they deliver. So with direct to consumer, think about it. The psychology is the money goes to the consumer makes a decision and turns over the money to the merchant. With direct to merchant, the money never goes to the consumer. So in the consumer's mind, they're borrowing from ABC Bank and ABC Bank is connected to the business. So if they're not happy with the product or service that they're getting, they could stop making that payment because they don't want anything to do with it anymore. Or if the business goes out, and this happens, a business goes out of business, and if let's say it's a coaching program, and the people that are 2 or 3 months into that coaching program, and they were promised 12 months, the lender's going to get caught holding the bag. So that's why, a lot of merchants don't understand why does the lender have to vet me so much. It's because there's a lot more risk. There's a lot more fraud. We've never lost a lender on the direct to consumer side because of fraud or because of defaults. We've only added lenders. We've never had a lender say we're going to stop working with you guys because your portfolio has too many defaults. But that's not the case on direct to merchant. Direct to merchants will lose their shirts if things go wrong. And, we've lost lenders, even though it was never our fault because those lenders do their vetting. If we bring them one or two bad accounts, we're the ones that get blamed for it. So, we do a certain degree of vetting as well, but the lender will as well. So, but anyway, the bottom line is, the idea of Byzly is we want to give you all the solutions available to you, and we're going to make that presentation to you at some point, and you're going to work with our team, and we're going to set you up with what lending options sound good to you, that you qualify for, and that makes sense. And then when they do, we're going to add them to the configured side. So the catalog basically is your options, and the way we present this may change over time. We're going to add some more automation very, very soon. So the view of this may be different to you. So, but this will be your options, and you'll have a way of looking at them, and to see if something is for you. I got a blank page there. Okay, we'll have to fix that. And then on the configure side is the lenders that you're actually set up with. So there's customer financing is not connected to a shopping cart. So on the shopping cart side, I mean, on the checkout side in the payment hub, you have Affirm, you have Klarna, you have those type of buy now, pay laters because those programs were designed for retail. So they were designed to be part of a shopping experience. Most customer financing lenders are not. Customer financing is more of a give and a take. So if you go into a doctor's office and you want to work with customer financing, there's a process that goes between you and that practice going back and forth before the loan is funded, and you can get the customer can get what they need from the standpoint of a procedure. So it's not really a shopping cart type of experience. Some are. I mean, in the retail, some of the lenders that we have will work in a shopping cart in a retail environment, but most of them that's not the way it works. So, and I'm just going to show you the on the direct to consumer side. That's the one I have here, but it's fairly easy. We set it up in a way where um, For some of the lenders, when you say log in, it's going to bring you right through. We have integration with those lenders, so it'll bring you right into that lender environment, and you'll be able to, put do the application and create your own sale in that environment. Some you may actually have to log in the first time, and then your cookies will take over, and you won't have to do that anymore. But let me show you how it works on the customer financing side. So clicking that, it brings you right into customer financing. This is our demo. It was live, but we turn it on and off. It's not a real merchant um, environment, but basically it gives you, all the things you need. So um, if this was connected properly, this application, it was sort of taking you to the application, but I didn't connect it to my coach financing account because I don't have one. I did the generic account. So normally this will take you directly to the application, which is this. So, from here, this is a simple application, but if it takes you to the portal, there's a lot of different things that you can do. So if you're the merchant, am I in, this is interesting. Am I in, yeah, I'm in the consumer side. So yeah, so the Flex Direct account. So from the, I'm not this is not a demo on the direct to consumer platform, but you can create a new application. You can email the application to your customer. You can text the application to your customer. So from Byzly, you can connect in here, and do anything you want with any of these lenders. When we add the pre-qualification module, so let's say you had, three or four of these in here, and then direct to consumer, you'll be able to pre-qualify your customer, and we'll be able to tell you with some degree of certainty which program or programs that they'll fit into, and then you can discuss it with your borrower. This is not set up as a waterfall. Now, some platforms out there are set up as waterfalls, and we actually have a couple waterfall providers in our catalog for our merchants. And at one time we were considering building the waterfall, and the reason we went in the other direction is, in my experience, and I've been working with waterfalls for almost as long as I've been in this industry, most of them fall short because they tend to be not necessarily the best lender options, but the best lenders that are willing to get into a platform for that particular platform. So, you don't necessarily get the best options. So you're basically stuck with that platform has. And the other thing is that, over the years, there's a lot more nuance to lenders now. It used to be very cut and dry. You had the prime lender, you had the subprime lender. Maybe you had if you're retail, you had a no income lease to own. You had something else on the bottom. Now that prime lender may not just be a prime lender. Maybe they go down deeper, or maybe that lender that used to be specifically subprime now has some pretty good terms for prime customers as well. So there's not a lot, there's much more nuance. So we decided to go in a direction where we're going to give you a marketplace of lenders. So you're going to know the feel for each of the solutions that you're going to have in your Byzly platform, and you can decide, and your customer can decide which way they want to go. So it's not going to be us determining. And that was by the way, and that was the way we looked at direct to consumer as well. When we developed our direct to consumer platform, we could have set it up in a way where we gave you the lenders that we decided were the best. But we decided, there's nuance. So like when you look at this, there's different offers for different amount of months. And this one, you know, um, different terms. This one isn't a great example, but if somebody had really great credit, they may have, six or seven lenders interested in them, and it may not always be, obvious which one is the right one. Some consumers are more interested in having the lowest payment. Now, getting the lowest payment may mean the term is longer, but the interest rate is higher, but it's still the lowest payment because it goes 60 months instead of 36 months. Some people are just interested in interest rate. So that's what they're going to shoot for. Some people don't care because for them it's temporary. It's just short term. Like let's say somebody is doing this, but they know they're going to get a tax refund in 3 months, and they're going to pay it off. So they really don't care that much about what the interest rate is. It's more about just getting the amount that they need. So we've decided to make the direct to consumer a marketplace, and we went with the same kind of direction in Byzly as well. So it's, you can decide as a merchant, which lenders and providers you want us to work with you on, and B, when you on the macro level with your consumer, you can decide which lender to work with them on. And it may be, you may lean one way or another because there may be a lender you really like working better with than the other, right? You'll use that guy, that those people as a last resort, but you really prefer them because it's an easier process. And we understand that every lender is different and we have the same experiences here. All we can do is offer you these options so you can make those kind of decisions. And the more options you have for your consumer, the better chance you have of making that sale. And really, that's the point of this, right? I mean, in the environment we're in now, especially there's a lot of uncertainty in the economy. We don't know what's going to happen with inflation, with interest rates, and a lot of different things. People want a lot of options because they're uncertain too, right? So they don't know, do they want to deplete their bank account because I mean, what happens if they lose their job tomorrow? That they may need that. They're going to need that money in their bank account. Do they want to use up their credit card? And maybe that's the only thing they have for emergencies. So, consumers have different viewpoints. So it's important for you as a merchant to offer as many options as possible, because and we have the same thing. We're a business just like you are, right? So the worst thing in the world is to spend all the money for your marketing, to do everything right, to get your customer to the point of sale. So that they like it, they like it, they like it, and then you can't put it together at the very end. So you spent the same money, as though you acquired a customer, but you didn't acquire the customer. So, you don't want, if at all possible, you'd never want a sale to fall apart because of money. I mean, and we try to encourage our merchants to, you know, figure out other ways of making the sale, right? So you may have a price, but what do you do with that customer that maybe only has 50% of that money? You know, Byzly gives you options, right? Byzly gives you a way of putting together a hybrid transaction. Maybe they want to put down some with the credit card and then finance the rest. Um, or maybe, maybe you have an in-house installment plan, and we have one too that we can structure for you, where if somebody gets to at least a certain threshold, you'll work out a payment plan on the rest of the money. It takes two, right? So you want to be, you have your costs, you have your the things that you need to make your business run. At the same time, no sale is zero revenue. So you have to take that under consideration. Every business is different. We're here to help you based on our experience. So that's the financing hub. And with all the configured providers, we give you a one place to look to see all the options that you have. So, like I said, Bizly is going to get more powerful. I should be able to stretch this out longer, but this is it. I mean, we try to make it as simple as possible, and I designed it, and I'm not a technical person. I just know enough to be dangerous. And even though I graduated as an engineer a million years ago, I'm not a technical person. So I developed this in a way where what how do I make this as easy to use as possible? And some things I fell short on, but what was going to make that? What was going to do our best to make it as easy as possible? We don't want it. We don't want you to need an 80-page manual to use this product. We want to make this easy for you. So I encourage you to, move into Bizly. You don't have to do it overnight. It could be a project. It could be something, you can do a provider, a week until you get set up. On the credit card processing, if you're using somebody you like, that's great. Connect them. I'm going to encourage you to maybe get a second option because, you just never know. If you're in a high risk business, and many of you probably are, because if you have a high ticket sale, you're automatically high risk, but some businesses are more high risk than others. Um, you want as many providers as possible, and particularly if you're using a PayFac. So if you're using somebody like Stripe, you're using a PayFac. What does that mean? Stripe will approve everybody, right? So Stripe will go in and they'll approve you for credit card processing. They basically don't turn anybody down, but they're going to cancel people. they're going to hold reserves. They're going to cut your limits because they're the pay fact means they're on the hook. So if something goes wrong with your account, the merchant is the you know the the merchant is on the hook, obviously, but Stripe is the one that's going to take the loss. They take the responsibility. So they're going to be conservative in some cases. So if you're a new business, if you're a very high risk business, it may happen quickly just because of who you are, or they may be keeping an eye on you and waiting for a slip up, and then they can do something. So if at all possible, you want your own credit card processing that's been underwritten, and we offer that, in our platforms. We have a couple providers that we recommend and that can set up in here that offer high risk finance, that offer high risk credit card processing. And if you're in that business, by the way, let us know, and we'll gladly allow you to hook your provider up there as well. In here, the more the merrier. But you want to, if at all possible, you want to be underwritten, right? So you want to get credit card processing from a provider that understands your business. And some businesses, there's going to be some chargebacks. There's going to be cancellations. Um, just to let you know, if you go above 1% chargeback, you're considered on the brink. So, credit card, the banks and providers do not like when you go above, a 1% chargeback rate. So just keep that in mind. And sometimes it's harder or easier for other, than others. Some merchants, it's a really rough ride to get the credit card processing, but we seem to have some good connections out there. Um, and that's basically it. I'm going to see what questions you guys have. Uh, I'm glad you guys like it. Oh, what is a waterfall? Okay, sorry, guys. The way a waterfall works is there's platforms where when a consumer puts an application in, the application automatically will go to the top lender, which is usually a prime lender that's looking for somebody with prime credit. It will then go to, if that's declined, it will then go to the next lender. If that's declined, it will keep on going down until they find a lender or they have no more lenders, to present it to. So, that's the way a waterfall works. And like I said, there's pros and cons. It's easier, right? Because you could put one application and have it looked at by multiple lenders. Like I said, the con to me is um, that you don't always get the best lenders. So, we have I think one or two waterfalls that have kind of variation on it. They'll actually do a pre-qualification ahead of time before they send it into the waterfall. So if somebody has a certain credit, they may not send it to the top. They may start in the middle. But you know, everybody's got their own nuance. So, but like I said, we want to present you with all the possible options and all the nuance and everything that your customer may actually need. So yeah, so there's pros and cons to waterfalls. We've decided not to go in that direction, with this platform. So yes, there will be a replay link. I think there will be. That's why I set it up. So if all the technology worked out right, there's going to be a replay on it. Um, so okay, can you describe more detail the process of applying for direct to merchant vendors? Well, everyone is different, and we're in the process of adding automation to it. So we're going to change our process, but uh, generally speaking, what we do is, and that department is run by Vince, with us, and he has a department, and they're going to look at every single merchant right now and decide, is there an opening for a direct to merchant solution for this merchant? If there is, he'll present it. He'll show you what the program looks like, the costs of the program, and all the other decision making endpoints that you have to, look at. And if you want to go forward, then the vetting begins. And the vetting is every lender is different. Some may just want a paste, voided check and a proof of business, and then they do a know your customer to do a background check, and if you pass that, you could be set up. Others are going to ask for 3-month bank statements and 2 years financials, and so it really all varies, on a lender by lender basis, and um, you know, it's just a matter. Usually, the ones that ask for the most are the ones that have suffered the biggest pains over the years. So, that's the deciding factor. But it could be that that's just the risk lane that they want to be in. And we have some great lenders out there, and you're going to have to work hard if you don't want to put any effort in for the direct to merchant lenders. That's why we have a great direct to consumer platform for you. So, if that doesn't take any effort, that's so easy to train. We have orientation here. We offer orientation for direct to consumer, and I ask myself sometimes why, because it's really, we offer documentation and it's really a simple platform to utilize. Obviously, there's steps in completing a transaction, but once you do it once, you probably get it again. You probably get it. But like I said, I'll do another webinar on direct to consumer alone because it's becoming more and more powerful. What we're finding is that the lenders, we had one day this week or last week we funded like 15 loans, and we had 15 different lenders. The base of lenders we're getting is so broad now. There's no more clutter of all the loans being funded by one or five lenders. So we have a lot of lenders with a lot of different appetites. It gives you a good opportunity. You may not like it, the offers, and the great thing about direct to consumer, it's all soft credit pulls. Now, if you don't know the difference between a soft credit pull and a hard credit, a soft credit is basically they don't go deep into the credit, but they'll look at the FICO score and maybe some other key factors and base a decision on that. And the advantage of the soft credit is there's no inquiry on the credit report. Now, if you for hard credit reports, what consumers are using, and more consumers are savvy these days, but what you need to know from a consumer standpoint is that the more inquiries on a credit report, the less attractive that consumer becomes because it looks like they're fishing for loans or fishing for financing or credit cards. Also, every inquiry lowers a credit score by about 3 points. So, that's why, we have some direct to merchant lenders that will do hard credit pulls, but we'll tell you ahead of time as far as if that's the case, and you really need to tell your consumer. The other thing is on the credit side, like I mentioned earlier, make sure that you ask the consumer if they have a credit lock. If they have a credit lock, they could have an 820 credit score. They're going to get turned down because it can't be looked at. So, you make sure that they have to unlock their credit and unlock all the bureaus, because since we have 30 something lenders in that platform, we don't know which bureau is going to be looked at. So, there's three different bureaus. They have to unlock them all, at least until the process is over. And they have to keep it unlocked until the financing happens, because the first step is the soft credit pull. The second step is if they select an offer, there'll be a hard credit pull. So, at least for the 2 or 3 days or whatever time period this is happening, they have to keep their credit unlocked. Any other questions? If you guys are interested, like I said, if you're on this call, I think you have Byzly, because I think I made this a very limited list, because it's only the people that have signed up for Byzly and have access to it. I strongly encourage you to move into it. Um, if you want to apply for credit card processing through one of the providers we have a relationship with, let us know, and we could send you a link for that. And we only work with these providers that do a very good job of it. So, if you want credit card processing, do that. With the other providers, like I said, use the quick guide. If you run into a roadblock, please let us know. I know there's going to be roadblocks. Like I said, we have so many providers in there. We're just learning now still too. So, you know, help us learn. Hopefully not, hopefully, you'll get through smoothly. But like I said, if you do run into an issue, just let us know. We're going to work with you, and we're going to make a big announcement as soon as the instant access credit cards and the pre-qual is launched, hopefully in about 2 weeks. Yeah, let me just put this. If you, I'm not going to remember. So the best thing to do is just send an email to info@flexbuy.com. If you're interested in anything, interested in help with direct to merchant, with direct to consumer, with credit card processing, any of the providers. If you email info@flexbuy.com, that goes to the whole team. So the right person will get back to you and send you, if you want a credit card link, if you want help with direct to merchants, whatever that solution may be. We're pretty, I think we do a good job with the support side. Um, if you don't know Laura and you don't know Julia yet, you will. They do a great job on the support teams, and they're very quick in helping you guys. So um, this is not the end. If you have questions, just email info@flexbuy.com and somebody will get back to you with the right answer. If there's no other questions, I'm going to let you go back to your day. I hope this helped you. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. There'll be more of these because I'm going to try to dig down into other things that we offer, and as we offer more, there's going to be more to talk about. Have a great day and a great rest of your week. Thank you.